When I discover a new island on one of my virtual trips across the globe, I often find myself thinking, what strange new land is this? The joy of finding one after another doesn't diminish, it's cumulative. And while in some ways, being able to flit around the Earth effortlessly can make it feel small, the sheer number of corners, nooks, and crannies counteract that. Regardless of its size, our planet is endlessly intriguing. Kiritimati is an island that I've spent a lot of time visiting as a tourist. Virtually, that is, using Google Earth. I keep returning and finding new things to dwell on. Christmas Island, as it's also known, is not a single island but an atoll, with lagoons and islets, channels, sand, vegetation, and plenty of human activity. From above, it has a lot of distinct features, some natural, some unnatural. There's a surprisingly networked system of roads snaking their way through the Swiss cheese landscape. In the northwest, there's a decent-sized town and even an international airport. Some of the villages were given names like Paris and London by a French priest who lived on the island and planted 500,000 coconut trees. Human population has grown steadily, even parabolically, since the 1960s. Currently, there's more than 7,000 people there. Animal life on Kiritimati is in a delicate balance, with a mix of native and introduced species, all competing for limited resources. The various bird species are threatened by some 2,000 feral cats who have called the island home since the first ones were brought over in the 19th century. The island officially became a wildlife sanctuary in 1975, but after many extinction events. One of the most standout things about Kiritimati's history is that it was used as a base for nuclear weapons testing during the Cold War. Both the US and the UK conducted tests on and around the atoll during the 1950s and 60s. I spent a fair amount of time trying to confirm the exact location of the Grapple X detonation specifically, but was unable to get exact coordinates. It was definitely near the southeast tip of the atoll, but whether it was over land or water is still unclear. It's reported that the explosion was much stronger than expected, resulting in the destruction of buildings and infrastructure, and with health effects which are still being accounted for. I wonder which of the patterns and shapes I can see from the satellite imagery are remnants of the double-digit megatons of hydrogen bombs that were tested here. Contrasting the atomic age with what many would think of as simpler times, before its modern history, Kiritimati was visited by Polynesian people. They never established a permanent settlement, but likely used the atoll as hunting grounds. Archaeological finds from this era include fire pits, small structures, and religious sites, so perhaps they spent extended periods of time here. For the island enthusiast, Kiritimati is the Shangri-La of the Pacific.